Hello, Planeswalkers. Welcome to the Lotus Archives, the heart of arcane knowledge and the realm of Magic the Gathering. Guided by the sages at KLVD Studios, embark on a journey through ancient scrolls and powerful spells. From deck-building enchantments to legendary battlefield stories, we bring you the wisdom and wonder of Commander. Whether you're a master mage or just tapping into your powers, the mysteries of the multiverse are yours to discover. Let the magic begin.
Hello, Planeswalkers. Welcome back to our next episode of the Lotus Archives. As always, I am Kava.
What's up, party people? This is Jack.
And this week, on our little bit of our shorter episode here, we are going to talk about the do's and the don'ts of Commander and how to improve your experience as at a local game store and at your table in your kitchen. So, Jack, why don't you go ahead and start off here?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's basic like etiquette stuff, ways to help improve, your Commander games. I think primarily at your LGS, I definitely would want to preface it with at your, this isn't going to be, the same for everybody, right? Everyone's going to have different experiences with this. And, your main group might have their own way of doing things, and you might have stuff already preset with how, your regular kitchen table group does things. But these kind of, habits and things to do and, do's and don'ts and stuff, they'll definitely help make your LGS games and stuff better.
Oh, without a doubt.
I think so. First one up here is probably one of the bigger ones, I would think, is just simple basic communication and patience, really. Just be talking to your players, talking to everybody, and having the patience to work with anybody who's new that may not know what their cards do or what their stuff does, and just talk and be in the moment,
All right. So, with that, communicate with everybody.
Right.
That I think that's gonna go down as our number one thing. Everyone's there to have a good time. No one really wants to go in and be a fucking asshole prick. At the end of the day, talk. You're there to play a game.
Right.
It's a game with
cardboard.
We got
this. Exactly. It's there's a social contract that we all go into with it. You go to your LGS, you meet, if you're playing with strangers, you just want at the back of your mind, you should always just be keeping in your mind really that everybody's there to have a good time, and everybody's just there to do what they want to do. But always, you just want to make sure that you're in the moment.
Exactly. Like we were saying, at the end of the day, you're there to play a game with cardboard.
Absolutely.
All right, so our second thing there that we want to talk about is keep your hands off of other people's decks.
Yeah.
Unless they say it's okay. It is one of my biggest personal pet peeves when someone, I'm sitting across from someone I don't know, and they just grab one of my cards off my board. What the fuck are you doing? Unfortunately, it's in the day and age where some of these cards that you're playing cost good money. Last thing I want to do is, even with a sleeve on the card, last thing I want to do is have someone that was just freaking had their hands in chicken wings, getting chicken wing
Cheetos
sauce all over my cards, regardless if they have sleeves on them. Because, even the sleeves now are $10 to $12 for a pack of 100. They're not, super cheap.
Exactly, and I think nowadays people understand personal space and stuff a lot better. Having, everything kind of cooling down from that pandemic, right? We just had that whole ordeal. And so we all understand personal space and keeping our distance better now than ever. So making sure that, if you're confused about a card or you don't know what something does on your opponent's board, just ask. Just be like, hey, what does, that card do? I've never seen that commander. What does this do? May I, take a look at it?
Exactly.
May I read it? Or you could just ask them to clarify, right? Like, hey, could you just clarify what that card does? I've never seen it before.
Well, exactly.
And then go from there.
And that brings up a good point. Like, there's been times when I've been playing against someone that's obviously been playing a lot longer than I have. This was more when I first started playing than now. And when I didn't have an intense knowledge of all these cards. And if someone played a card from frickin' 20 years ago, and I've never seen it before, because it's like an obscure card. What was it? Thieves Auction that you were talking about last time.
Yep.
You bet your ass I'm going to want to take a picture of that card so I can get it for myself. So I can remember
Absolutely.
it. Especially if it has like cool artwork. But with that being said, even if you're just taking a picture of the card, always ask permission. You don't want to just start pulling out your phone and taking a picture of someone else's property. It's screwed. So,
for sure, yeah. So just be respectful of their spaces, and because you would want them to do the same to you, right? Like you wouldn't want somebody reaching over, touching your stuff. So just be respectful of their area, their game space.
Exactly.
Yep.
Give everyone their own space. There's a reason
Absolutely.
why we have play mats and all that shit. So,
for sure.
Jack, what do we got for the next one here?
Yeah, so next up, this is kind of a biggie, or it's just like a really important thing that even took me a little while to get down and figure out, was to simply just take your time, Take your time, slow down during your steps and phases. Primarily the first three, untap, upkeep, draw, right? The first big three that we got there. Because a lot can happen in those first three phases, right? People kind of tend to underestimate, how quickly, or, how quickly they go through. They just go untap, draw, right?
Well,
like, untap, upkeep, draw.
And with that, go slowly and announce your steps.
Yes.
Because
always announce.
The amount of times that I've been sitting across from someone and I'm paying attention, mind you.
Yep.
And they just go, untap, upkeep, draw. And I'm like, wait a minute, I had something I wanted to do on your upkeep.
Exactly, yeah. So just always take your time, go through untap, upkeep, draw. Because you may, like, if you say it too, and like I was just rewatching some Command Zone episodes with this, and Jimmy made a really good point of like, if you say it out loud with this and you just go through the motion, and I even do it when I'm goldfishing too. Like I'll be goldfishing with my decks and I'll just like say it while I'm doing that.
Oh, exactly.
And it always reminds me to like, okay, I have an upkeep trigger, or I have a draw trigger. That something happened under my draw step, like with the new Saga deck I just built.
Okay.
All those sagas, they have things like they get their ticks on your draw step. So, if you make sure that you can go through that, take your time, slow it down, and you can give your opponents a chance to do things, and then you can remind yourself, oh, hey, I had this on my upkeep, or oh, I had this on my draw. You won't forget, right? Like if you have like a Phyrexian Arena that, that triggers on your upkeep, you don't want to be that guy that like misses it, and then 2 turns later it's like, oh, guys, I should have drawn 2 cards. Can I go back and like, don't be that guy. Because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to let you.
The amount of times that I've seen people forget they have Rhystic Study on their own board. And frankly, if I'm playing against you, I'm not reminding you what's on your board state.
Exactly. And so I think like one of the best ways to help with that, at least with like upkeep and like draw triggers, what that I've done is I just put a dice on top of my deck.
Yep.
I just take a little d6, pop it on top of the deck, and then before I even draw my card, I go, oh, there's the dice there. What did I have? Check the board. Oh, I had a Phyrexian Arena, or oh, I had some shrines, or my Saga needs to get a new lore counter. So,
exactly.
Having that really helps.
Yes, and you don't have to just use a dice. You could do anything that's going to remind you, hey, I got stuff I got to get done. You can come up with your own little BS way of doing it, as long as it doesn't alter the board at all. A simple
use
dice.
a coin,
Yeah. Dice or a coin right on top of your deck is usually the easiest way, I found.
Yep.
Depending on the deck, I might not have freaking a shit ton of D6 with me. So I might just pull out of my pocket a penny or a quarter or something like that and put it on top of my deck. But
Whatever works, but I think the announcing the steps will be the first step to helping you with that.
oh god,
Like, you just go untap, upkeep, draw. Even just saying it can help you, like, in your mind's eye, be like, oh, I had, okay, say untap, nothing, upkeep. Wait, upkeep. Did I have a thing? Oh, I did. I have, X, Y, or Z that goes off. Maybe you have, like, an Underworld Connections or, something like that that has one of those triggers. So just slow your roll, partner. Do your thing. Take your time with it. And just make sure that you're going through the motions and not just speeding through, because then you'll miss your trigger and be like, oh, guys, I had the thing. Can I go back? And no. We're not going to let you go back, buddy. Sorry.
No.
Know your stuff. Learn it.
So,
You'll be a better player.
yes. So, on top of that, and going right into our number 4 here, pay attention to the damn board state.
Yeah. Get off your phone.
Like,
Watch what I'm doing.
nothing pisses me off more than having to explain what I'm doing multiple times. It slows the game down, especially if it's doing the same thing every single turn because no one's done anything about it. Something like a heuristic study. I shouldn't have to explain every single time to you why you gotta either pay 2 or let me draw.
Pay the 1, yeah.
Or pay 1. But with that, you really need to be paying attention, not just during your turn.
Yeah.
Because the amount of times that I have gone through almost my entire main phase 1, and then at the very end of it, someone's like, "Oh yeah, I want to counter the first spell you did," and I look at them, I'm like, "No, I've played 3 other spells." You should have responded to that.
Yeah, like that's left the stack ages ago.
Yeah,
and like I'll admit, I'm guilty of going on my phone too sometimes. Like if I'm with my buddies, it's my regular play group, and I know one of them's comboing off or something like that. Which then I know what their deck does. I know I have no responses, and they're comboing off and pulling out some crazy jank shit. Yeah, I'll pull my phone and maybe scroll through Facebook or something, right? Which I'm guilty of that as well. But
I feel like that's different though.
Right.
Than at your LGS. If you're at your LGS, chances are you don't know these other players' decks.
Which that's why we preface it with like, okay, well, if you're in your own play group, some of these may not apply, right? Like in your own, with your regular group, because you guys know each other, you know your stuff, you know what you do. You already found your flow, right?
Exactly. But
going to the LGS, playing with strangers, you always want to be in the moment, right? Like. That's why I always make sure I keep my phone on silent. I put it away. Like, it's on vibrate, sure, so if I need to take a call, I can walk away. But, just pay attention to what's going on in-game so that you don't miss important actions or state-based things so that you can respond when needed, right?
Yeah. No one wants to have to deal with someone responding to something that left a stack 3 cards ago.
Yeah.
Because, frankly, I'm not going to allow it.
100%. So just, pay attention, be present in the moment, because then also means that you're, engaged too with the players, right? Like you don't want to just seem like you're not interested in the game. Because like if you're just like you came to the LGS or game commander night, and you're playing, and then you just go on your phone instead of interacting with the players, like why are you even here, bro?
Well, and on top of that, you're going to play with other people.
Right.
I don't want to.
Like, it's a social game.
Yeah. If I'm playing a 1v1 against someone. The last thing I want to do is, while I'm having my turn, for them to be sitting there on their phone, texting away or scrolling through TikTok or whatever the hell that they're doing, and not paying attention to what I'm doing. Because then they're just going to ask questions when I say, all right, pass.
Right, they won't know what the hell you did.
All right, so that's going to go into our number 5. What do we got for number 5?
So this one is pretty important bit that I think is going to be more relevant nowadays.
Yeah.
It is to just have good communication during World Zero, right? I mean, this is just crucial to ensure that everyone's on the same page. regarding their expectation for the game. We got the new bracket system here, so we got a better way to talk about and have our decks on a better level. Everyone can describe their decks better. So just having that proper communication during that Rule Zero talk is important, right? Like our number one thing, biggest thing was communication, right? So this is where that can really come into play. Is just being, having your expectation in the back of your mind of like, okay, what kind of games do I expect? What kind of stuff do I want to do? How do I want to proceed with this game? And then understand that the other players have similar expectations, and be open-minded enough and aware that some expectations may not be met, but try to at least be accommodating for yourself and others.
Yeah, so I just pulled up with the whole bracket thing. Granted, mind you, this is from Reddit, so take this all with a grain of salt.
Oh, huge! I'd say bigger than like a
Yeah.
tablespoon of salt.
But
Anything from Reddit is just, oh, buddy.
But someone in r/EDH, this was about 6 days ago, they asked, did you use the bracket system at MagicCon? And obviously we all know that that was their big testing ground where they were in control. And one of the top commenters on it was the area where they were like, where Wizards employees were watching it all. It was pretty weak, they said, in terms of there was only a couple of tables. And it was off to the side of the command zone, and this individual person said that they didn't even notice it for the first day and a half, which this is just one person.
Right.
But then another person came out and said every single Commander game that they played there, they at the very least referenced the new bracket system when they were doing their games.
That's good.
Then, of course, you got some people being assholes saying,
Yeah, they're going to be cheeky.
my deck is still a 7.5. No, your deck is not a fucking 7.5.
No.
It never was to begin with.
1 to 10. No more power, whatever, 1 to 10.
But the rules.
If I ever hear anybody saying that, I'm going to be like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Say it again. Do something again. Don't. You're not a 1 to 10. No.
No. And at the end of the day, we know what the new bracket system is.
Yep.
If you pull out a Turgrid, you're not a fucking 2 or a 3.
Guess what? Yeah. No.
Like, I know
Which I
damn
did
well.
I did see some other another YouTuber talked about the MagicCon stuff, and they mentioned that it was pretty consistent between like 1, 2, and 3 was pretty good, but going from like 4 to 5 was kind of difficult to tell the difference. Like you didn't really see much changes and much things going on between 4 and 5. But I feel like a lot of us who aren't like, going wild or going buck crazy, a lot of us are going to be sitting in the 3, maybe 2 slot.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, like we were talking about in our episode on the brackets, I was very concerned about 4 and 5 being the same rule category. Because I know my Miram deck is technically a 4.
Yep.
I also know there's no way in fucking hell it is keeping up with a CEDH level deck because it's too slow.
Right. So it wouldn't be in the 5 slot then.
Yeah, but if someone came to a table with a CEDH deck and they're like, oh no, it's a 4. Technically
right.
it is.
This is where, yeah, so that's where like our honesty thing comes in with, this whole thing is like, just be honest about your deck, right?
Exactly.
Don't be the cheeky ass that's going to say, oh, it's a 2, but you have a 2-card combo that you pull off on turn 4, right? Like, don't do that.
Because realistically,
right? Like,
no one's going to want to fucking play with you.
Exactly. So just be honest about your stuff. I know I was just telling you about this dragon deck I just put together. It does contain the 2-card combo between Savage Ventmaw and Aggravated Assault that makes infinite combats. So I put that into Architect, right? And Architect is phenomenal for this. I still can't recommend Architect enough to use for these things.
I mean, I think after we talked about it in our initial episodes, I switched over to Architect for all my decks.
It's so good. So I put this deck in there, and it called it a bracket 4 because it has a tutor in there to search for dragons. It's got this 2-card combo that just instantly pops off. However, because I know that combo is really slow, right? I have to get the Ventma out there. He has to have haste or some way to attack. He has to be able to attack. He has to survive. So it's not like a foolproof, really fast combo.
Oh, exactly.
So if when I take this to a table, I'm gonna say it's a 3, but it does contain this 2-card infinite combat. So when I go to tables, like I think, I got an upcoming Commander Night I might go to. When I bring this to the table, I'm gonna say, hey, it's got this, but it's really slow, right? So I may not pull it off until maybe 6 or 7, right? Like turn 6, 7, maybe 8, depending on that.
Yeah.
So just be honest with your stuff. Yeah.
That's the big thing, and that ties right into number 6, with as long as you're honest, no one's gonna have an issue with you at their table.
Exactly.
But with 6, you win some and you lose some. Don't be a fucking dick if you start losing, and don't be an asshole if you're winning and start gloating about it all. It's a game.
Exactly.
Good
sportsmanship is key.
Yeah, this is more at like your LGS, because I damn well know if we're playing at one of my buddy's house or people are playing at my house and I'm on a streak of 4 wins in a row, you bet your ass I'm going to make fun of them.
Right, like we like to have, people do their back and forth. They have their little shit talk moments, things like that, where, you go tit for tat. You're talking back and forth. You're doing your little, stuff with your buddies. That's all well and good. But if you're with a bunch of strangers and you don't know their life experiences or you don't know what their deal is, just have yourself in that mindset of you're there to have fun. Winning isn't everything. Is it nice to win? Yes. Is winning the gold game? Absolutely. Yeah. But just go in there with that mindset of like, you're not always going to win.
Well, and that's the thing. We're talking strangers here.
Yep.
You don't know what's going on in their lives. They could be having such a shitty fucking day that Commander is their only escape.
Right? That's our therapy, people.
Yeah. And with that being said, if you start going off and making fun of them because, they drew only fucking lands and you're not drawing any cards or you're getting mana screwed,
right,
that might set them over their edge. You don't know how their day's going. Maybe they just got fired from their job. Maybe they just got divorced or broke up with their significant other.
Yeah.
But you want to be mindful of that. And it all comes down to the golden fucking rule. Treat yourself how you would like, or treat others how you would like to be treated.
Absolutely.
I mean, then we got the sociopaths that just want to make fun of everybody and like being made fun of themselves. But let's try not to do that.
Yeah. I mean, the whole winning thing is tough because, like, it took me ages to come from that legacy mindset, And, like, if you're in a CDH game, right, like, if you decide, hey, I want to go play the meta, I want to be CDH, the dynamic is going to change.
Oh, 100%.
A little bit, I think. You're going to go into this mindset of, I want to win, right? Like, you're going into that laser-focused, I'm playing the meta, I'm going to try to win no matter what. And I think we'll see... But you can still have good sportsmanship, right? So, like, even if your mind focus shifts a little bit, the main still goal of the game is just to have fun and, be a decent person, right?
Oh, exactly. And so I reached out to
that shouldn't change.
Yeah. So I reached out to a couple of my buddies that are big into the CEDH scene, and that I've met online and in person and all that. And I asked them, so how do you guys handle like random people showing up to tables? And I was picking their brain on it a little bit because I wanted to see how different, at least in today's standard, it was from sitting down at a casual table of a 2, 3, and a 4. And they pretty much told me and I could be wrong, so those in the comments that are those viewers that are watching that maybe play exclusively CEDH, tell me I'm wrong. I'd love to learn more, and let's have a conversation. We'll bring you on the show, and we'll all sit and chat about CEDH etiquette and all that shit. But CEDH has its own set of unwritten rules.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to casual Commander.
There's a whole meta that follows it, so yeah,
yeah,
there's a whole slew of different things to go into with it.
And most of the time,
it's wild.
If you show up to a CEDH pod without a meta deck, they're going to look at you like you're weird. And they're not going to like it.
Nope.
So if you
you're gonna get stomped on. Like you're gonna get pummeled into the dirt. So
well, and it's one of those things. Like he told me, like the CEDH level meta is designed to compete against each other.
Right.
It's not designed to compete against some jank ass BS deck.
Right.
With cards that aren't very good, but they're still like do funky things. Like if you pulled up a Thieves Auction in a CEDH deck tournament. They're going to look at you like, what the fuck? Get the hell out of here. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to your play group. If you guys are all playing CEDH level shit, so be it. Have fun, as long as everyone's on the same page. So, Jack.
I just thought of another really ridiculous thing. What was this? Oh, okay. That was just as you were saying the jank stuff. It brought to mind a jank deck. I had one, so it's small tangent.
Yeah,
It was a Maelstrom Wanderer deck. So Maelstrom Wanderer, he's a 8-drop teamer commander that has Cascade.
Okay.
So this is a really dumb deck that I bet if I took it to, like you're saying, the CDH table, they would hate me for it. It was 97 lands. And then just Treasure Hunt and Seismic Assault.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So I would sit there for 8 turns playing land after land after land. And it was all basic lands. There was no dual lands or whatever. It was just 97 basic lands divvied up between forests, mountains, and islands. I would just play 8 lands in a row, cast my commander, and then hope to cascade into Seismic Assault, followed by Treasure Hunt, which would let me get all those lands into my hand, and then I would discard them to Seismic Assault and win the game.
What the hell?
Yeah. So I would convince everybody, the first time I ever played this deck, I would convince them, oh, I'm just hitting a bunch of land drops, I'm just mana flooded, I'll just keep passing the turn. And everybody ignored me. I was in a 5-pod game with this, the first time I ever played it. And as soon as I did that, the stares and looks I got from that table at my LGS was priceless.
It
was so good.
That's crazy.
I never played it again. I never touched it again. But it was the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah, that's actually pretty fucking insane.
Right? Because it's like, oh, you're just hitting your land drops. You're just flooded. Okay, no worries. We'll wait till you can do a thing. And then I did the thing and it won the game. And they're all like, are you fucking serious right now? That's what you did? You pulled off this combo? It's funny as hell. I recommend somebody do it just as a one-off. If you're feeling cheeky, go for it.
Yeah. All right. So, Jack, the next one we got is... Yeah. This next one we got is a very...
It's touchy. It's
sensitive.
It's sensitive topic. Yeah. I mean, this can be embarrassing for a few, but it's hygiene. Clean your ass, right? Just be clean. Put some deodorant on. Take a shower. Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth.
Right. Take care of yourself. Wash your beards. Trim your hair. Something. Take care of yourself.
I mean, realistically, with this, I personally don't care if you look like frickin' a Yeti sitting across from me.
Right.
What's gonna bother me if I'm sitting 2 feet from away from you is, one, your breath smells like fish, or any other disgusting thing, and 2, throw some deodorant on.
Yeah. Don't be the smelly guy. There's always one.
Throw some deodorant on. Throw some cologne on.
Right.
Do something.
Just take
You're
a shower,
in
man.
public.
Just take a shower.
I mean, nothing is worse than sitting 2 feet from someone and you're talking back and forth, and all you can think of is, holy shit, their breath smells like ass.
Yeah.
Like,
So
if you're coming from work, I used to do this all the time. I would leave my job and then go to an LGS to play in Commander Night on Friday nights before I opened my restaurant. And I would go habitually every single Friday night. And I would literally, in my car, I would have my toothbrush and toothpaste, extra deodorant, and a change of clothes, so I didn't smell like a freaking plant.
It's pretty smart.
And it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to be sitting across from someone that stinks. I know I just worked a 10-hour shift. Last thing I want to do is torture someone else because I smell like oil.
Yeah, you don't want to be that smelly guy. And if you don't know who the smelly guy is, well, guess what? It's probably you.
Probably you.
So just be clean, you know. I've seen it in a few different places. You know, there have been a few times I've gone to, you know, my LGS and I've seen, you know, there's always that guy, you know, rocking the tank top in February, you know, pits rinking, just, you know, being an absolute mess. And there's no self-awareness, right? There's just none. Like, you got no idea that you're that guy. So just do your best to be clean. You know?
And with that, try not to be that guy, because these LGS owners and store employees, the last thing they want to do is have to tell someone, dude, go home and take a fucking shower.
Seriously, it can be really embarrassing to be called out for that. So just do your due diligence, you know, have the self-awareness to take care of yourself. Like, you'll feel better too, right? Like, I know if I go if I go even a day without showering, it's like, ooh, I feel bleh. I don't feel good. I feel off. So, you know, just do the things, you know, you gotta do them. Just take care of yourself, and you'll be better for it. People will appreciate it, and they'll respect you for it.
Yes. So, our next topic here, number 8.
Mm-hmm.
Come to the frickin' table prepared.
This irks me so much. I really try not to have it irk me, but it does. It irks me so much.
Like, I'll be honest, there's been times when I've done it myself. I've forgotten if I just brought like one deck, and I accidentally grabbed the wrong one, because back when I first started playing, all my decks were in similar deck boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't have them labeled, because I don't want to write on top of my deck boxes.
Right,
of course. In case I decide to reuse them for a different deck or whatever. And so the last thing I want to do is write in Sharpie on frickin' these nice, expensive deck boxes. And there's been times when I've showed up, and I thought I had my combo deck or something, and I realized when I opened it up, I'm like, oh, fuck. I got my token deck.
Yep.
And I don't have any of my tokens with me.
Womp womp. Which, that's the biggest thing, right? Like, have your tokens, have dice, have whatever it is you need.
Exactly. And, for instance, I literally just bought off of fucking Temu because I didn't have any. They had, for 99 cents, these frickin' dice. And they're +1, -1 counters.
Those are good. Those are really good to have.
And these go up to a +5. Or +6, mind you. So a +6 and a -6. And I used to just put a D20 on each of them. And that got fucking confusing as hell. And I went out and I bought these. And I can't wait to actually use them with one of my counter decks for the first time, because it's going to make it so much easier. And now everybody on the board state and on the pod is going to know, oh, okay, I have 2 -1/-1 counters on 2 of my different creatures. And it's going to make it easy to differentiate. You're not using frickin' a D20 or a frickin' quarter to do all that.
Which that ties into, like, just to be able to properly represent your board state, too, is, like, the biggest part of this, because there's so many times where, like, oh, this little scrap of paper is a 10-10 something or other, or this coin is 5 goblins, right? It's like, how do you know if they're tapped? How do you know if they're doing this or doing that?
Little side tangent. This is why you don't leave hats on the fucking floor if you have dogs.
That's
just
funny.
Ruined my Planeswalker hat.
Oh, no.
It's my own damn fault. Ugh, damn, that actually really pissed me off. I like that hat. Alright. Oh well. My own damn fault.
Yeah, that happens.
Alright. So, come prepared to the frickin' game.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and expect everyone else to have tokens for you or die or anything like that.
I mean, I've tried to take it upon myself to have at least some generic tokens. Like, I have my box of tokens that, I mean, I just went through it last night to make sure I had, like, my dragon tokens and my stuff from my aristocrats deck. But I've also even just started having, like, the bird token for Swan Song, Beast Within, the frog.
Yep.
The freaking elephant for some, those, like, generous gift and stuff like that. You know, I've just been, you know, I've decided to just be that guy that has, like, because I have a plethora of tokens that I've collected over the years. So, you know, I have all kinds of generic, random stuff. I got that one colorless spirit that gets made from that one random land that barely anybody plays, but you never know. You might come into a game with that one random guy. It's like, oh, I give you a spirit. It's like, okay, well, I have my spirit. I don't know about the rest of the table, but I have my spirit.
Like,
so
one of the hardest things for me is obviously, you know, my Miram deck, it goes fucking off.
Yep.
And I'm in the process right now, and I don't have all of them. And I'm ordering them from a proxy website because I'm not going to buy fucking 10 copies of Copper Dragon.
Right.
That's fucking insane.
It's a lot of money.
I'm in the process of making a bunch of proxies for each of my dragons in that Miram deck. Because at the very least, if I could put 10 of each on the field, I can use counters and die for if I have more than 10. And that's
smart.
My biggest pet peeve with my Miram deck right now is I have to put a frickin' die or something like that because I don't have all the tokens.
Right. I mean, they have, like, those copy tokens, but, like, you have to have some way of, like, putting it underneath the card or doing something to, like, that's usually what I did with my Miram is I had, like, those random copy tokens that just say copy on it, and I would put it underneath that other dragon just to show, okay, well, this is a copy of, like, Ganax or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do right now.
It works, but it's not as, like, that's their intention with it, just to do that, I guess. I don't know. It could be better. I think I like your idea of the proxy, just have, like, an extra proxy copy of whatever dragon you're making is good.
Yeah. I mean, and what I think I'm going to end up doing is I'm waiting for that alternate art for the Tarkir set to drop on the website that I use, and I'm going to use that border on all of them.
There you go.
Just because I love that border, and
that dragon
I
border
wish
is
I
really
could
cool.
bling out my entire Miram deck with that border, but that's probably not going to happen.
It'll be expensive for sure. But yeah, so like having decent stuff to represent your board state is crucially important so that people know what's going on. Having decent dice that can portray things like you're saying your +1/+1 -1 counters are great. Having them be like high contrast, like a black on white or white on black, is super good. Makes it easily readable. Because like I know we don't like I didn't even think about this too much. I heard the prof talking about this the other day, and it's like your board is upside down to everybody else, and like I honestly, in all my years of playing it, I haven't thought of that. Like actually brought that to my mind. It's like, oh yeah, my board is upside down. I don't think about their perspective. You're mostly thinking about your perspective. So having the open-mindedness to be like, okay, well, they need to see what I got going on as well as I do. So that's why I've started to try to use like higher contrast dice that show off the numbers as best as they can so that everybody, like, it's readable, it's eligible, they can see it, and it just stands out.
And that kind of goes into the altars and the proxy altars. Mm-hmm. One of my biggest pet peeves is I don't care if someone wants to use proxies. I really don't give a shit. But try and use similar artwork. Like, you don't have to use the same exact artwork that's on the cards. But when I'm looking across the table and you have frickin' Darth Vader as Atraxa, and it doesn't say Atraxa anywhere on the card, I'm going to be like, what the fuck is that shit?
Yeah.
It looks like a fake card to me. And then I'm going to be asking questions. For ease of use, do what the Secret Lair drops did. And then, what was it? In Innistrad, the last time we were there, not the remaster, when they did the Dracula cards.
Oh, yep. They had, like, the name underneath. Like, the
real
Godzilla
name
cards
underneath.
did that. Yeah.
Yep. They had the real names underneath. I'm fine with that. Yeah. I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
If I'm looking at your card quickly, and it's across the table, upside down, I want to at least be able to see, oh, okay, that's a Soul Ring.
Right.
Not frickin' Eye of Sauron or whatever.
Right.
So
that's important. Always make sure you got that going on.
Exactly. So number 9 kind of ties into Rule 5 for us. Jack, why don't you go ahead and get started with number 9 here?
Yeah, so we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but it's again just to, reiterate the importance of this is just don't lie about what your deck does or how fast it pops off. Right? Like during that, it's just all into that honesty during the Rule 0 talk. And coming into the game knowing what you want to do. And don't fudge your stuff. Like, you could say, oh, it's a 2, but you know that it's got these crazy 2-card things, but it technically doesn't meet the other requirements because I don't have, X, Y, and Z cards, so it's a 2, but you can pull off the Painter Servant combo on turn 3, So don't be that guy.
Why are you doing my Painter Servant like that?
Listen, I got my eye on you, motherfucker. I know what you're doing. I'm watching you.
I love that combo.
I know, it was just the first one that popped. It's one of the easiest ones to pull off. That you can do so quickly, so...
And it's one of those ones where, going back to Rule 4, pay attention to the board state, the amount of times that I've been able to pull it off in 2 separate turns, not even on the same fucking turn.
Right.
I would drop Painter Servant, no one would bat a fucking eye. Then I would drop my second card, and
the Grindstone
pop off.
or something, yeah.
Yeah, Grindstone, and they're like, wait a minute, how the fuck you do that? I'm like, dude, I put Painter Servant on the field last turn. Like, pay attention to the board state. You could have stopped it.
And if you don't know what the card does, ask.
What I'm never gonna lie.
Right. But then that can also fall into announcing what your card is, right? Like if you play Painter Servant, you're like, I play Painter Servant, it does this. Right?
Exactly, and that's Rule 10, announcing what each card is clearly.
Right. So a lot of these can I'm sure as people have noticed, a lot of these kind of blend together into a nice homogeneous set of etiquette. It's at the end of the day they're all trying to do the same thing essentially, which is to make sure everybody has the best game possible. And announcing what your card does to the board and telling everybody, hey, I'm casting this, it does this. Maybe they draw attention to the guy on his phone who's playing Candy Crush or some shit, right? It's like, hey guy, I'm casting a Painter Servant, I'm about to combo off, you might want to do a thing,
And for me, when I'm playing cards, I'll always announce the name of the card.
Yep.
If I personally know that it's an obscure card, I will go right ahead and I'll start reading what it does.
Right, or something
after
new.
I play it.
Yeah.
Especially newer cards.
Yep.
If I'm at a pre-release, I'll read the card. Because chances are, most of the people I'm playing against, it's their first time seeing it in action themselves.
Right. Not everybody watches the spoilers as closely as, the rest of us do, so... making sure you explain the stuff. And there are some cards that I even missed during spoiler season. I may not, I'm not going to read every single card.
I mean, and realistically, with spoiler seasons, I really, especially with our show, I'm looking more at the legendary creatures, if I'm being honest with you.
Right, we're looking at commanders.
And that's what I'm interested in, the new potential commander options.
Yep.
Granted, I'm also looking at the rares and shit like that, but the basic uncommons and commons, I'm usually skipping over them unless they have really cool fucking artwork.
Right.
And at the end of the day, just be respectful to everyone else at the table.
Absolutely.
If someone asks you, hey, can you read that card for me? Or, hey, can I see that card? If you don't want to hand it to them, just read it off.
Just read it. Yeah. Just be like,
Don't-
hey, I don't know if I want to hand it to you, but I will, I'll read it for you. And then you got to be okay with that,
Yes.
right? It's like, that's the double side thing there. It's like, okay, you may ask, may I read your card? And be like, well, how about can I read it to you instead? And be like, yeah, all right.
I
Like,
mean,
there's
at the end
tones
of
and
the day,
ways to phrase that,
Yeah.
right? Like, you want to make sure you're not coming off as, well, I'm not going to just give you my card. I'll read it to you instead. Like,
yeah.
you don't got to be a dick about it.
At the end of the day, I'm not going to hand over to anybody my Ancient Copper Dragon or
Right.
my Doubling Seasons. Any card that costs me more than $10, I'm not just going to willingly give it over to someone I don't know.
Exactly.
And that goes into our other discussions of theft-based decks.
Yep. Yeah, so always be cautious with the, with theft-based decks, it comes into a thing of just, like, make sure you can differentiate your card from their card, right? So, like, you can see this happen a bit if you have similar sleeves, which, like, if you're going to your LGS, you can't prepare for having the same sleeves or not having the same sleeves as an opponent does, who might be playing that deck. So just always be mindful and watching. If you're the theft player, make sure you keep track of whose card's whose. And then, as the other players, make sure you're also keeping track. Like, just, that's the role everybody should be playing. Everyone should be playing the role of, okay, that's my card, that's your card, that's his card, that's her card,
Yep.
whatever.
And-
Keep track
And
of that shit.
realistically, like, I know at least for me, my theft-based decks, I go out of my way and try and make it an obscure sleeve.
Right.
I'm not
Like a
going to put
special
just
art
like,
or something.
yeah, like I'm not just going to put a generic Dragon Shield matte black on my Turgid
Right.
deck.
It's a very popular one, yeah.
Like, even with, I have a Yasova Dragonclaw deck. It's my other theft-based deck.
Yep.
I don't have just a generic colored sleeve on it. It has a special artwork on it that I got. Granted, it's a 1 in 100 chance that someone might else have that artwork at the table because it's just a generic Dragon Shield artwork deck or artwork sleeve. But the chances of that happening are very slim compared to if I just had a solid color.
Right. You just
And
have,
it
like,
makes
red,
it
blue,
easier for
black,
me.
whatever, yeah.
Makes it easier for me when I'm putting my deck away and I'm shuffling through everything. Oh shit, this one isn't mine. That one's your card. You don't want to accidentally take someone else's card because ties into you don't know the other person's story.
Right.
They might not have frickin' the money to replace that card if they didn't realize it.
Exactly.
You could be like in my situation where, granted, I don't play this deck ever. I have it in a special case and all that. But I have my best friend's Edgar Markov deck that he built before he passed away. I don't touch that deck. I have it in a case on my shelf, kind of as like a display piece. Like,
Right.
no one's going to touch those cards besides me. And last thing I
Absolutely.
want is someone had cards that were handed to them from someone that they might not have in their lives anymore and accidentally take it.
Right.
That would be the worst thing I think I would possibly ever do on accident.
Yeah, that would suck. So
But
it all comes down to just the open-minded, being open-minded enough to, and being aware of what, other people might have, and just making sure that we're all trying, like, we all want to have fun, right? We all want to go into the game. We all want to be, in a, I don't know, safe space, but, a decent environment where we can just have fun, play a card game, chill out, relax after whatever day we had, and not have to worry about, the BS from reality, right? So,
exactly.
just being self-aware enough to watch what you do and say, and just do what you can to cultivate that, fun, pleasant environment to play at. Because I know that's what you're looking for. That's what we're looking for. That's definitely what everybody else wants. So, no.
But at the
Keep
end
all
of the
that
day,
in mind.
yes, at the end of the day, those were some of our pet peeves and stuff to keep in mind that we look into when we're going through our prep to go to an LGS
Absolutely.
If anybody else has any that they would like to add, or maybe that we should talk about in a future episode, leave them in the comments.
Yep.
We will 100% bring it up. Any comments that anyone leaves on our show, as long as they're PG-13.
At least, yeah.
We will bring it up and we will talk about it in our next episode before we start the rest of our stuff here.
Absolutely.
But with that, as always, I am Kava.
It's been Jack. Like and sub. Don't forget.
Yes.
Always
It
like
truly
and
helps us.
sub.
We're trying
If
to
you
grow
like the
our
stuff.
channel more. Share our podcast, share the YouTube show. And with that,
All the YouTube things. Just do all the YouTube things, you know.
Oh,
I don't like
God,
to mention
yes.
it much. I can't stand the people that like say it over and over again, so I give the one little, you know, YouTube stuff. Go for it. And then that's it.
yeah.
Moving on.
At this day and age, everyone knows what the hell you need to do. Just go ahead and do it. It helps our channel grow.
If you like it.
Helps us get more viewers. And we want to be able to keep producing more and more content for you. And
Absolutely.
with that, everyone have a great rest of your day. And
care, all.
we
Be
will be
good.
back with our deck building tips next time.
Yeah, last one. Green coming up.
Well, last monocolored.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
With that, everyone have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you guys all later.
Peace.